Today we will analyze Norse mythology, misconceptions, mistakes, and all the gods featured in God of War 2018. Just remember, just because something is wrong doesn't mean the game is bad, okay? Actually, I really like this game. Since this video took a lot of work, don't forget to leave a like, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hype it up too, because it really helps me out, okay? That being said, let's get started. Hey. Alright, the game opens with Clayton chopping down a tree using his new Leviathan axe, even though in the game, they say it was made by Brock and Sindri, who in mythology made several mythical weapons, including Mjolnir. This axe is never mentioned in the stories, and even its name doesn't match Norse mythology since Leviathan is actually a Hebrew name, right? Let's put it this way, it's the name of the biblical serpent, the greatest sea monster of all.
Behold, I see my mother. And behold, I see my father.
After that, we have this funeral for Atreus' mother, which isn't exactly mythological, but it's worth mentioning that it's very faithful to Viking funerals.
My bow. No, you're not ready. Step back.
So they introduce us to the new skeletons in the series, the Draugrs, and, according to Viking folklore, the Draugrs. They would be zombie warriors roaming the world to find their killers. The only way to kill them is by burning. But didn't Kratos kill them with the ice axe at the start?
That he can't use anymore. We can.
Kratos says the people who died there no longer need the things he found in the chest. According to mythology, Viking warriors needed their boats because they were burned in them after death, along with their belongings and even sometimes along with their wives, in the hope that in the afterlife they could have them too. That's right, must be enough. That's it. Soon, we are introduced to the Nornir chests, those that are locked by runes. Runes in mythology were actually just the alphabet of the Vikings, and Nornir, in this case, would be the name of the Ladies of Fate in Norse mythology.
Andrews. What is this? What is this?
Let's face it.
We don't have a choice.
So we have the appearance of the game's first troll who catches the white deer there, and he's not wrong, okay? Trolls are described as ugly and giant, but this one shouldn't be able to walk in sunlight, right? Because, actually, he was supposed to have turned to stone because of that.
What is that thing?
We also have the Hell Reavers, which are those ice creatures there that don't appear in Norse mythology. They resemble Draugrs more than the real Draugrs in the game, especially since the axe doesn't affect them.
I thought it would be bigger.
But it is, you. You won't want to fight me.
But I do want to.
And finally, Baldur shows up, who's going to be the villain of the game, and in the game, he's really annoying. But in mythology, he's very different and also much more handsome. Actually, he was the most handsome of all the gods, Azir. Being a god of light, he was the son of Odin. With Frigg and not with Freya like it is in the game, as you'll see, he is also the father of the god, Forseti. Baldur was also the god of justice and wisdom, and one of the most beloved by all gods and beings. He wasn't involved in battles, and Baldur didn't have fire or ice powers. Just look at his appearance. Baldur wasn't truly immortal, unlike how the game sometimes shows. It's just that, in reality, almost nothing in the world could hurt him. And then, as you can see in this scene, in the game, things can hurt him, but he doesn't feel it. In mythology, he wouldn't get injured at all. Odin didn't have a raven farm in mythology. He just had 2 Hugin and Munin, and they were normal, not green.
Boy, this way.
She says his name is Hunir, Mom.
Told me about him.
A giant warrior made of stone. It looks like a really big battle. There's Odin, Thor, even the world's serpent. Wow, Thor must have smashed his head.
And the moral? It also mentions Hrungnir, who, in Norse mythology, is a Jotun killed by the god Thor with his hammer Mjolnir. Already.
They are relevant.
They're untouched. Look.
Someone make the fire, Sigmund, your knives. So many days without.
Meat.
Meat. Wait for us.
Behind me. What if they
transform too? Then, we end up finding some cannibals there who say they can't let Kratos and Atreus leave because they need meat. And they also wonder if they might end up transforming, turning into Draugrs. It was even common in the past, according to the stories, for the Vikings to get rid of the bodies of the dead far away from the villages so that they wouldn't come back as Draugrs.
You were right, eh?
You must be smart. I don't know, boy. You're a boy, right?
Does Brock show up for us yet? No, he didn't have blue skin in the mythology, although that's explained in the next game. These horns found in chests remind me of the story of the god Kvasir, because of the name Bloody Mead. A myth claims Kvasir was born from the combined spit of the Aesir and Vanir gods, sort of like an agreement to end their war. But Kvasir ended up being killed by 2 dwarves who used his blood to make the mead. I share this and other Norse mythology stories in detail in order in my video. I'll put it in the card and description so you can watch it after this video.
Focus on accuracy, Felipe with subtitles.
That's it. Go after him.
No, he's my friend.
The boy followed his orders.
Atreus got a good shot, right in that boar's butt, huh? That boar is Hild's vine, belonging to the goddess Freya, and appears in mythology.
I don't live below her.
Hamillay. Look. All right. Okay, after we arrive at Freya's house, we see the turtle house in her region. That's not in the myths, and turtles are actually more common in Asia, right? For example, in Chinese mythology.
I'm seeing a boat. All right, Diego.
Nightmares like these exist in stories, and their explanation is actually pretty cool. That's because these creatures are said to cause nightmares and sleep paralysis. They're called mares, right? As they're actually called. Would sit on people's chests while they sleep. That's why people can't move. And that's why we have nightmares. In English, it would be nightmares. Nightmares. Mares of the night. There's another creature they adapted very well, which are the tasselworms, which would be a creature similar to a lizard. Kind of like a dragon too. Sometimes it even looks almost like a dog. They adapted it very well, even its shape.
Yes.
Guys, we also encounter a witch and those revenants there, which aren't in the myths either.
Machado didn't come back.
serpent? So we get to Jormungandr, and there's not much to say about her in terms of appearance, right? Since she's meant to be a giant snake, almost anything they did would work. However, Jormungandr's main trait, being extremely venomous, doesn't appear. You can't get near her, even Thor struggled with that. Take it.
Pile of rocks over there.
With the Yggdrasil key, you can open a magical door to the branches of the World Tree, a shortcut between realms.
After that, we go to the Bridge Temple and meet Brock again. At his shop, he gives us a stone that opens portals to Yggdrasil's magical branches. In mythology, they were real branches. Odin even hung himself from one. There were no portals between worlds.
Another dwarf. Let's go. No.
He doesn't matter.
With
Excuse me, but how did you get that axe?
Isn't that none of your business?
I won't disagree with that, but I know this blade. It's one of ours, but it wasn't for you?
We briefly meet Sindri, concerned about how Quertus got the axe, but there's little description of Sindri's or Brock's personality or appearance in mythology. But I can tell you that dwarves also shouldn't be walking around in broad daylight, because they would also turn to stone. That fight between Brok and Sindri isn't in the myths.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
If that big gorilla guy is actually an ogre, I don't really remember if there are ogres in Norse mythology. And if there are, they're definitely not very relevant.
My magic is useless against the Black Breath, and there's no other way. Odin made sure of that a long time ago.
What are you doing here?
I came to help you complete your journey.
What creature is that in the lake?
Nobody knows. It showed up suddenly. Shortly after, Thor attacked, and you could feel the battle in all the realms. In the end, it was a tie, and Thor returned to Odin empty-handed. The serpent stayed here and grew so much that now it occupies all of Midgard.
See, I told you!
They hate each other and are destined to kill one another at Ragnarok.
So, we end up meeting Freya again in a part of the so-called Black Breath, which is something created for the game. We have a brief description of an encounter with Jormungandr and Thor, which even reminded me of the tale of Jormungandr's fishing, where the two almost fight but are stopped by Raymir. And in fact, as Freya says, the two are destined to kill each other at Ragnarok.
Mom didn't talk much about the Vanir gods.
Yes, the war between the Aesir and Vanir began when the Aesir tried to kill Freya. As I mentioned, it led to Kivazir's creation.
Tyr's temple, constructed with the giant's help. Tyr used it to travel the 9 realms and maintain peace among them, yes.
Tyr was actually a god of peace and diplomacy. Building a temple with the giant's help and traveling between realms would be too much for him. That's not in mythology. Quertus is leading a basic training session.
Hit back. Come closer to the table.
Does it work?
You need this. A Bifrost to create travel between realms can capture, hold, and transfer the light of Alfheim. Place the Bifrost there.
In the game, Bifrost is a key, but in mythology, it's a bridge to Asgard. And only there, not all realms.
What does it say there,
It's about an eternal war for the light. I don't get it. If both sides need it, why not just share?
We arrived in Alfheim, realm of the Light Elves. And there's a part where it talks about a war between the Light Elves and the Dark Elves over the light. It turns out that this war doesn't happen in mythology, and the Dark Elves, actually, or Dark Elves, would be the dwarves. And they don't even like light after all, as I told you. The light turns them into stone.
They became the Light Elves.
Is it war or the end of one? The ones from Tonica lost.
Both elves appear there. The light ones appear as spirits. In mythology, they were beautiful and corporeal beings, and most likely they were minor deities, even compared to the Vanir. The dark elves, who look like demonic fairies, aren't from mythology either, right? As I said, they would be dwarves. That Yggdrasil dew of rejuvenation reminded me of the Norns in Norse mythology, who stay at the world tree's roots, watering and caring for them. I'm not sure if it's related to this dew of rejuvenation, but the dew is an interesting detail. Tiazi, named on this item, was a giant who kidnapped the goddess Iduna, and because of that, without the apples, the gods ended up aging, since the apples kind of give the gods eternal youth. By the way, apples in the game help increase your life anyway. Iduna is eventually rescued by the gods, and Tiazi is dead. Tiazi could become an eagle or giant bird, which is why the item is called Tiazi's Claws.
And then...
These stone ancestors, which were supposed to be kind of parts of the primordial Jotun Ymir, don't exist in mythology, but there would be the Tursar or Tumzar, the first Jotuns to emerge from Ymir himself. They died in the flood of blood after Odin and his brothers killed Ymir. We also have a conversation between Quertus and Sindri.
Difficult, yes.
You're just going to tell me that, Sim.
The light over there.
They covered it with that thing. Why would they do that?
Next is the ringed temple's interior and the light elves. Myths mention several palaces, but none by that name. At least I've never seen one. Have you?
Hurt yourself?
I'm fine.
And that light from Alfheim doesn't exist either, nor do those so-called light bridges. Although Bifrost was a rainbow bridge in mythology, no one could simply create one. In this Utgard attack, it makes a reference to the Utgard region, where Thor ended up facing 3 challenges in Norse mythology and lost all 3 after being tricked by Utgard Alok. Njord, in the name of this attack, is a reference to the god of the seas Njord, the father of Freya and Freyr, and also the former leader of the Vanir. The enemy's name, Svaltalfur, references Svaltalfar, the Norse mythology name for dark elves.
An abandoned temple in Midgard that a dwarf turned into his personal storage. He filled it with treasures he collected during his travels through the realms.
Through the realms? Which realm did he visit? What did he find?
Fafnir was an aggressive collector of magical artifacts. The more things he had, the more he wanted. For him, no realm or relic was too dangerous. But once, he ventured into Niflheim in search of a whetstone. I bet it was a great stone.
This story has a positive purpose.
Yes, it does. By the way, I have an entry stone for Fafnir's vault. There must be something useful there.
Cool, thank you, yes.
Fafnir was a selfish dwarf in myths who became a dragon. To scare his brother away and keep the treasure for himself and to prevent theft? In the anthology, Siegfried killed him? What?
I was dwarf.
There's an alchemist from Vary who was working in the mines, Volander. I haven't heard from him in, I don't know, 100 hells. He must be dead, but maybe you'll find him. He's a dwarf like me, wears a fancy green ring. He owes me a favor.
You are looking for...
If it's on the way.
Ah, I get it now. You don't do anything for free, huh? All right.
If you find where Vary is, I'll ask him to do something special. You can enter the mines with this entrance stone.
Andy Vary, mentioned by Brock, was a dwarf who forged the gold-attracting ring, Andy Varynot. After Loki got it, Andy Vary cursed the ring, saying anyone who had it would attract misfortune. And then...
Look here, there's another one.
Look, it's the Serpent of the World. It's much bigger than I thought. Ah, look, it bit Thor, or it's gonna bite, I think.
In that mural, Ilmungandr looks like the Ouroboros, a serpent or dragon biting its own tail.
What does it say?
Frightened servant, rooted tree, or trapped beast. They do not know beauty.
There's a servant there I don't recognize.
Ah, that's Durafort, one of the 4 servants of the World Tree. He must protect. He must enter Jotunheim while the giants sleep. Do you think he's still there?
So far, it would be one of the 4 servants, Dane, Dvalin, Tuner, or Durabor. But they didn't defend anything, okay? They just fed on the fury of the World Tree.
Nothing will stop us.
Calm down and stay behind me.
Yes, sir.
That dragon, Razor, doesn't exist in the methodology. It would be a dragon that shoots lightning, right? Which is specifically Thor's domain, while lightning dragons are more common in China and Japan.
You can deny it if you want, but you saved me, and that should be repaid.
Sindri's arrows are made of mistletoe, right? The only thing that could harm Baldur is mistletoe. And it's pretty convenient that Sindri happens to make arrows from it, right? Who knows why he did that? It's a reference to that shot.
Here it is, guys. Another one.
This one's called Ymir. My mom tried to tell me, but I think I was too young.
There are giants coming from his armpits.
I think that's Odin stabbing him.
This mural depicts Ymir, the first Jotun, and shows that the first giants were born from under his armpits. There's also a reference to Ymir's death by Odin and his brothers, right? A hand.
Wash is the other. Tell me where they are and I'll talk to Odin.
Your father won't free me, Baldur, or let you kill me. You have nothing to offer. So take your questions, your threats, and these 2 useless ones and get out, all right?
The return of Baldur. And here we meet Ymir, Magni, and Modi, the sons of Thor, who were always together. Now, about Ymir, who gets his head ripped off by Kratos in the game, right? But in the mythology, of course it wasn't Kratos, right? He ended up having his head ripped off after a hostage exchange. He and Honir, who is Odin's brother, ended up going to the Vanir after the war ended, and the Vanir sent Frey and Freya to Asgard. But when the Vanir realized that Honir was kind of useless without Ymir, they felt deceived, ripped off his head, and sent it back to Odin. Hello?
Can you revive a head?
I think I didn't understand.
Hey.
Where did you get that? The arrows? Hand them over to me now.
It was a gift. Obey, boy.
Those arrows are dangerous, evil. If you find more, destroy them. Understood? Did you understand? Enough.
I got it. If I find any, I'll destroy them.
Obey, that's all. Sorry, please. You can keep my arrows. I don't need them anymore.
Freya is worried about the mistletoe arrows because in the game, she acts as Frigg, Baldur's original mother. Frigg, concerned for him, has everything in the world promised not to harm him, except the mistletoe plant. And even though Frigg and Frey are very similar, both in name and also in appearance and some characteristics, they are different goddesses. However, a long time ago, they were probably the same goddess. It's better
to know what you're doing. Hold the head under the water and don't let go. Seriously, that's enough.
The guys... Freya ends up resurrecting Mimir here, but in the original story, it's Odin who does that. Let's also discuss Freya's appearance, which we missed. She also had a feathered cloak that she used to transform into a hawk or a bird, and also a chariot pulled by cats. Solly?
Began during the lengthy war between the Aesir and Vanir. Before that, the Aesir used to win easily, but the Vanir proved to be their equals, causing enormous destruction. Both sides suffered tremendous losses. And to be honest, for many of us, the war was no longer fun, but rather an endless waste. Don't you agree, buddy? That's right. That was the last straw, and Odin's brightest advisor was determined to find a better way. Odin decided to negotiate peace between the gods. He chose to negotiate, and Odin agreed to marry his greatest enemy.
About that, there was no marriage between Freya and Odin. About that, she actually lived with the Asgardians, but stayed isolated in the palace Folkvangr.
Cecil, the one we're looking for, what is it? I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you the story. I'm glad that... about a giant named Tano Chao, a really huge giant, who despite his size, was without a doubt the greatest builder the world has ever seen. The proud Timur hoped to pass on his vast knowledge to his son, but the young Rinto had the heart of a warrior. Maybe the father was too afraid or the son wasn't afraid at all. Either way, an argument broke out between them. It got out of control, and Timur, overwhelmed, struck his son. Rinto ran away into the night. Ashamed and regretful, Timur went after his son. But in his emotional state, he quickly became lost and alone in Midgard. Unfortunately, he was spotted by the one person he didn't want to meet while wandering alone at night so far from home. And then, what happened next? You'll see.
Say Timur, a bricklayer who tried to build a wall in Jotunheim, isn't found in the myths. There's a similar story about Loki and the horse, right? A giant builder tries to build a wall around Asgard to win the moon and Freya. But all of this was based on a bet, and so the gods wouldn't lose the bet. Loki distracts the builder's horse by turning into a mare. And later, Thor kills the builder, just as Timur was killed. Wow. There's also a creature that resembles a werewolf. Werewolves, as we picture them walking on two legs, don't actually appear in original Viking stories. But in the Volsung saga, for example, there are some characters who turned into wolves. Maybe they could be considered werewolves. Timur's head reminds me of the Thor and Hrungnir duel, where Thor kills the giant but gets metal stuck in his head. And by the way, gigantic giants like Timur existed in mythology. Loki's son, for example, was gigantic Kratos Jedi.
Wow, but this fight is intense.
Here it gets tough.
How is this possible?
You know what I think? It's time magic. A danger that the high Vanir gods used to toy with. Freezing time, by the way, was one of Njord's favorite spells.
No, the Vanir gods didn't interfere with time.
Boy. Surrender. The Old Father demands it. No. The Oath. Great, great. The fight is mine, kid. Go, go. Go.
Where?
Do you think you're going? Ah, no money. The little kid has a bow. What do we do?
Thor's sons, Magni and Modi, had their personalities altered in the game, similar to what was done with Baldur. Actually, they didn't just change them, they completely changed them. Magni and Modi aren't full brothers. Only Magni's mother is known, a giantess named Yarn Sasha. Modi's mother's name is never mentioned. Magni was likely the strongest Aesir, possibly even stronger than Thor, and he's the first one to die in the game. Modi, on the other hand, represents courage itself, but he runs away like a coward.
Love and hate are more connected than you realize. For example, Odin hates the giants and vice versa, but Thor's own mother was a giantess, the great love of his life.
Odin. Yes, Odin had relationships with several giantesses, and in fact, Thor's mother is one of them, Jord, the giantess of the earth. As for Odin seeing her as the love of his life, I doubt it. Frigga seems more likely to fit that role.
But Odin's true nature showed itself again. He gained Freya's trust, and she taught him a bit of Vanir magic, another decision she deeply regretted.
if it's Vanir magic. As Zamir said, it's probably Seder, essentially Norse magic, witchcraft, or shamanism. Play.
You ruined everything. I deserve that hammer, but now they're going to think I only got it because I lost weight.
Yeah, in fact, Magnamod, after Ragnarok, after Thor's death, ended up inheriting Mjolnir. But there's no competition between the two, okay? They would both inherit it together.
There's a rare ingredient that only exists in Helheim, the guardian who protects the Bridge of the Condemned, which was his heart.
Oh, honey.
After Atreus freaks out, Freya mentions Hel. It's odd that Hel has that name in the game. Helheim is named after its ruler, the goddess Hel, right? Helheim is Hel's realm, though Hel isn't in the game. Still, the cold in Helheim is brutal.
This street leads to the bridge to Helheim. Once there, never cross it. The Bridge of the Damned. There's no way back.
The Bridge of the Damned wasn't a mythological name. There was a bridge linking the living and the dead, but it wasn't called that. And yes, it was possible to come back, okay? After all, Hermod, who was Odin's messenger and was sent to Hel to try to recover Baldur, ended up going back and forth across that bridge. And then
Go answer it. Go, Adam, and finish this.
this scene isn't about analysis, but it's really awesome.
Here. I'll take this chance to say that what you're about to do is crazy. Not even Odin would endure this cold. So I hope the blades work.
And, in fact, Hela in Helheim was supreme, but Odin has been there too, especially when he ended up hanging himself on Yggdrasil.
It's inside Hell.
There are several afterleaves in mythology, and, as Mimir said, Valhalla is only for those who died in battle. But there's one detail he forgot to mention. Only half of those who died in battle go to Valhalla. The other half goes to Folkvangr, Freya's hall. And there are other afterlives as well. In the realm of Aegir and Ran, those who drowned go there, and virgins go to the goddess Gefjon.
A bridge of the condemned, and the guardian is there making sure the dead are truly dead.
What is he holding?
That totem holds a powerful magical energy, the power of Helheim itself.
A guardian watched over the bridge of Helheim, but it wasn't a golem like in the game. It was a warrior named Mordegut.
Now, man, when it comes to the heart, you're going to have to get your hands dirty.
Here we see that an eagle cares for Helheim in the game, but actually, there was no eagle in Helheim. In mythology, there were actually some eagles in Norse mythology, like the one that stayed at the top of Yggdrasil, which doesn't have a name, and Helsvegr, which is the same name as this one here in Helheim, but she stayed at the far north of the sky. I could mention that Garmr, the underworld guardian in Norse mythology, is missing, but actually in some parts of the mythology it suggests that Garmr would actually be trapped near Hela. It's not that wrong.
I told you that I have a son. It's been a century since I saw him.
And it's a good time for me to tell you that Freya did have a husband and also children in mythology. But that husband was Odir, and the children were Nose and Garsamir.
At his birth, the runes foretold an avoidable death. The baby in my arms was so small, so helpless. I knew right then I would do anything to protect him, no matter the sacrifice, but everything I did was only for myself. I put aside my desires, my fears, to come before him. I realized I hurt him only when it was too late.
No, it wasn't the runes that predicted Baldur's death, but a dream instead.
I am a god. Mom knew she was a goddess.
No, she was mortal, but she knew about me.
And, well, we know she wasn't exactly immortal, right? Yeah.
That's the answer right there.
It means Earth.
It conquers death, gives life.
Go.
It refers to Jord, Thor's mother.
If I had known I was a god back in Alfheim, I wouldn't have felt so bad about killing so many elves.
Well, I don't think that's really the lesson here.
You don't need to feel guilty. The elves threw their problems at us.
No, now I understand. We had divine things to do, and they were getting in the way with those little problems.
We're going to leave it like that.
Just knowing that we're gods, I already feel much stronger.
Maybe you're letting it go to your head. Power involves a big choice, boy. Serve yourself or help others, like Tyr did.
People worshipped him, right?
Yes, a god of war, but one who fought for peace. He was considered heroic and loyal. He used his power and knowledge to prevent wars, not cause them. So, what happened to Tyr? Odin started to see him as a threat. He suspected that Tyr was collaborating with the giants instead of helping to steal their secrets for use in exile. By the way, he accused me of the same thing, but in Tyr's case, I think it was true. Do you think Tyr was helping the giants? I do. He felt responsible for the suffering that Odin brought upon them. I suspect he even helped cover up their remains.
And in fact, Tyr was a god of war, but more connected to diplomacy. That's why Odin thought he was betraying him. He doesn't exist in the myths, does he? We saw several treasures in Tyr's Hall, with many references to other mythologies, and even to the original God of War trilogy. Skal and Hades always chase the sun and moon, and when they catch them, Ragnarok starts.
Aruna, did you see that?
Yes, Dixie, don't worry, trust me.
In us?
Turn your face.
That thing is called Grendels, which really reminded me of the monster from the Beowulf tale.
That's what I paid for it.
My father called me a coward. Looks like he did more than just that. Get out or we'll finish his job. I'll send you away. Ah.
And Maud, the god of courage, is getting screwed over here. Isn't this treatment kind of complicated?
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Well, I remember that, man. Be careful. I missed it.
Oh, boy.
Cross the bridge. No.
Baldur appears again, right as we're about to cross the bridge to the mountain. It's impressive how strong he is in this game. For a god who's actually pretty peaceful in the Pantheon, then this idiot Atreus goes and does something like this.
Yes, I am. Take it. Get this off me. No, please, get this off.
Me, no.
It works.
Go for it!
Please.
Come. No. You'll thank me.
You will.
Go no. You are my life, my love. May this work out for you. I swear, trust me, I know. I know.
Let's go!
Let's go, go, go!
Hurry up! Yes!
In the fight going all out, we return to Helheim, and on this return we see the game's version of Baldur's Curse, which I've already told you about. The mythology is quite different. It's more of a blessing than a curse. We also find a boat in Helheim. It's never called Naglfar, but it reminded me of it, right? Which boat, made from the dead's nails, remains in the underworld until Loki uses it in Ragnarok.
Look at this. The missing panel about you.
Odin must have stolen it.
Why?
He always has reasons. I can look.
On this mural. Here we have some mythologies. There's the Eye of Horus from Egyptian mythology, the Omega from Greek, the Triskele from Celtic, and the Tomoe from Japanese. In fact, I have a video on the channel telling the whole story of Celtic, Egyptian, and also Norse mythology.
There's one more here.
Ah!
Yes, he was, and much more.
It seems like he had a lot of children.
Kid, that's already an understatement.
He died of old age. They didn't kill him. Giants die naturally.
They can die, although it's rare among the legends. Bergelmir
was the only giant who, along with his wife, survived Ymir's flood of blood. He fathered all the Jotuns from Norse mythology. It doesn't mention how he died.
Use your legs, man. He knows.
I try to help. This section isn't related to mythology. It's funny how the power scaling crowd claims Kratos lifted the 9 realms just for turning this temple. Nowhere and in no source does it say that.
I'm not going to let you hurt him. No.
Boy. All right, Pori. No, Atreus. Atreus, you're bleeding. Breathe, boy. Breathe. It's not my blood.
Here we also have the game's take on Baldur's death. In mythology, Loki has Roger, the blind god, shoot a mistletoe arrow at Baldur. During a party that was happening there, in the halls of Asgard, celebrating Baldur's invulnerability, Baldur ends up dying. After Atreus breaks the curse, Kratos breaks his neck and dies, starting Ragnarok. As in mythology, Baldur's death triggered Ragnarok. In mythology, Odin sends Heimord to retrieve Baldur from the underworld. Here, it seems neither Odin, Freya, nor anyone else has that idea. I don't know why.
Giants. They're all gone.
In the end, it says the giants disappeared from Jotunheim. Well, in the myths, the giants are still there until Ragnarok because they end up fighting in that war too. I think...
There's just one thing I didn't understand. My name on the wall. The giants called me Loki?
After we find out that Loki is Atreus, it's kinda weird. All the mythological stories in the game supposedly happened before Loki was born, even though they occur in the mythology. Actually, most of the stories in Norse mythology happen because of Loki. The story of Thjazi, which I told you about, who kidnapped Iduna, Loki helped him. The Wall of Asgard was also built thanks to Loki. Anyway, basically all of Norse mythology revolves around Loki. And then in the game, everything happened before he was born. And I know. Go have dinner. Little calendar there with the Incas. If I knew my mythology subject, those who watch this will have Percy. What a video. I'm gonna fall gently for an obvious reason. Bye.
Sleep!
You don't even need to ask.
Your bow?